Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. Do any of you remember standing in front of your class? Perhaps you were attempting to give a book report or speak about a current event. If you were like me, you were nervous and tongue-tied and couldn't wait to sit down. But then the teacher stood up and gave the evaluation. Oh, you prayed she'd be merciful. And more than that, you hoped she wouldn't say anything that would make the rest of the class laugh at you. Those were trying times. But by now, you've probably found that Toastmasters is a much more user-friendly experience than being judged by the intimidating instructors of our earlier years. Toastmasters, we learn together. We take turns evaluating one another, thereby providing a continuous and reciprocal learning process. It stands to reason, then, that the more effective we are in evaluating each other, the more we can all profit from the experience, whether we're sitting in the audience, delivering the evaluation, or giving the speech. If we're sitting in the audience, we can learn from the example an effective evaluation provides. If we're doing the evaluation, we get the chance to tune up our listening skills and practice our impromptu speaking skills. If we're the speaker, we benefit by getting immediate feedback. This helps us to reinforce our positive speaking habits and also adjust and correct our flaws. The evaluator also provides suggestions for improvement. Sometimes when you're the speaker, you're kind of too close to the forest to see the trees. And it helps to have a different perspective, someone who can watch your speech and tell you areas where you need to improve and offer helpful suggestions. The third thing that an evaluation provides is it helps to build and maintain self-esteem. As we learn to play up our strong points and correct and modify our flaws, we can't help but feel better about ourselves. And our improved self-esteem helps us not only in Toastmasters, but also in our personal and professional relationships. When we begin in Toastmasters, much like Edith and Armalda did today, we give our icebreakers. We receive organized feedback in the form of an evaluation. That provides suggestions, we make adjustments, we give our next speech. And so on the process continues for as long as we're part of Toastmasters. Toastmasters uses a process called tell and sell for the evaluations. As you saw, everybody gives their speech, and then the evaluator provides the evaluation. The speaker is not required to respond to the evaluator, and that helps in two ways. One, it helps to keep the meeting moving, and two, the speaker can just listen and learn from what the evaluator is offering, as opposed to having to think in their head, oh gosh, how am I going to respond to this? When you are assigned to evaluate, you are a catalyst for change. And your goal is to point out the strengths and the weaknesses in a helpful, sincere, and encouraging manner, with the goal of motivating the speaker to return to the lectern again. There are 5 things that you want to remember when you are assigned to evaluate. The first is to show that you are interested. What's the main purpose of the evaluation? It's to help the speaker. So you want to convey that you are interested in the speech and also in helping the speaker to grow and develop. As such, your evaluation should be focused on the speaker. Now, there's no denying that a clever and witty evaluation is quite entertaining. But when the spotlight shifts off of the speaker and onto the evaluator, all opportunity for learning has been lost. So you want to keep the spotlight on the speaker. The second thing is to consider the speaker's objectives. As we all know, when we're working in the manuals, there are certain objectives, things that you're focusing on in that speech. As the evaluator, you want to understand what those objectives are. You also want to ask the speaker, is there anything that you want me to focus on or watch for as you give your presentation? And most important, when you're talking to the speaker, you want to gain an understanding of where they are on their Toastmasters journey. Watch for any sign of fear or insecurity. If you sense any, It's an opportunity for you to offer words of encouragement. And more important, like Mike mentioned earlier, make sure you deliver a listener-friendly evaluation to that speaker. I'd like to share a personal experience I had after I had given my second speech. The evaluator assigned to evaluate me was one of the very advanced Toastmasters. I recall he said maybe 2 or 3 sentences that were positive about my speech. The rest of the speech, he told me everything I did wrong or failed to do. I was devastated, and I could not wait to leave that day. It wasn't Mike. Many people in that situation would not come back. And I can tell you, it took me well over a year before I got up the courage again to stand before the club and give another speech. So make sure you keep that in mind when you're doing the evaluation. The third thing you want to remember when you're doing an evaluation is to personalize your language. Put yourself in the speaker's shoes. You've just spent days or maybe weeks working on your speech. You've stood before the club and you've bared your heart and soul. And the evaluator approaches the lectern and says, "You didn't! You failed to! You should have!" It's demoralizing. Instead, ask yourself 3 questions. What did I see? What did I hear? And what did I feel? Make your evaluation such that you're describing the speech's impact on you. And you might want to consider language such as, "My reaction was," or "I believe," or perhaps "I suggest." Keep it personal. Don't indict the speaker. You'll chase him away. The 4th thing to remember is to evaluate the speech, not the person. While sticks and stones may break our bones, words can be particularly hurtful to somebody who has just finished delivering a speech. So you want to remember that your main purpose is to support and encourage the speaker. And you do not want to impose your values on somebody else's thoughts and ideas. You want to focus your evaluation on assisting that person in more effectively communicating their ideas. Your comments should focus on their delivery skills, not on the speaker as a person. If we all do that, it'll assure a comfortable atmosphere for all of us, where we can feel comfortable learning and growing without fear of personal attack. The 5th, and I believe one of the most important things, is to promote self-esteem. As we said in the beginning, one of our goals is to encourage and inspire the speaker to come to the lectern again. So you want to give that person honest and sincere reinforcement and feedback. If they've made changes or improvements, point those out. But you also, as Mike mentioned, want to give suggestions for improvement. But you want to do this in an upbeat manner. You want the person to feel better for having taken the risk of giving a speech. And when self-esteem is allowed to flourish, we can't help but feel accomplished and accepted and motivated to continue and do it again. Evaluations offer one of the most effective learning tools in the Toastmasters experience. When we are assigned to evaluate, we are given not only an opportunity to work on our speaking skills, but also to assist somebody else in achieving their goals. We owe it to ourselves, to those we evaluate, and to all the members present to provide an experience which is positive, constructive, and informative. In other words, that will help our club members to become the speakers we want to be. Mr. Toastmaster.